Hello guys, my name is Khan, and in today's video we will discuss that how Power BI deals with data types. So what does it mean? I will go through that. What does it mean by data types? Actually, each variable is assigned a one particular data type. It will be a string, or it will be a numeric, or it will be a date, and there's further subcategories within these categories too. So for this video, I will be using this very much similar data set that I have used before. Is a US Census data set. Again, it's a hypothetical data set. It have nothing to do with reality. I have just created this data set for this set of videos. So in this data set, you can see that we have some variables here. But the point to note here is that in this data set, I have a date variable. There are two types of date variable. Both are capturing the same information, but the only difference is the format of the date. So here you can see that the format is like this, whereas here we have a different format. Here the year comes first, then day, and then the month and the day, and there is no division between year, month, and day, whereas here we are using slashes to differentiate between day, months, and year. And again, here I have made an error intentionally that this is a population. So under population, we have the number stating the population for the given state in USA. Whereas you can see that for Alabama, I have added an A here. It should be a numeric here. So I will show you guys that how Power BI deal with such kind of cases and how we can correct this kind of errors. Suppose if I was typing and I accidentally write A, and after that I realized that it's not A, and how can I change it? And I will also show that how an alphabet impact your variable type in Power BI. So I will minimize it, and now I will go to my Power BI. Again, in Power BI, we work in 3 steps. We get the data, we make our visualizations of it, and then the last step, the third step, will be to share it with your audience. So first thing is that I will get my data. It usually takes few seconds to define the path. So as my data set is in CSV format, I will just connect. And this is the data set that I have shown you guys. I will say open. Power BI is connecting with the data. So once the connection will be done, we will be able to see variable names here. So this is the thing I will say load it. And now loading the data again to my Power BI. Okay, I think the loading is done. Yes, you can see the loading is done. The important thing to note here is that this date variable, the first date variable, you can see that there is a calendar appearing here. It means that Power BI identified that date variable as a date type, whereas this date too is identified as some numeric, and that divorce, marriage are also considered as numeric. These 3 variables, death, divorce, and marriage, are considered as numeric, which is fine. Whereas the population, which should be considered as a numeric variable, is not considered as numeric because there is no summation sign against the population. Whereas the region, state, state 2, and status are all considered as string or categorical variable. So let's go to our edit query. So I will show you guys that how you can edit the data types in edit queries. I will go to edit queries. So now we are in edit queries. I think it will just take a few seconds to show me the data here. Okay, now we can see that here, so this is the population. So suppose if you know that this is wrong, it should not be an alphabet here. It should be some numeric instead of A. And important thing to here is that on your left hand side, ABC is written down, that this variable is considered as a string variable, which is not right, because if it's a string, if it's written down ABC here, it means that you can't apply arithmetic operation over this variable. So first thing what I have to do is that I have to change this variable A with some numeric value. In order to change it, what I will do, I will select that cell where A is written, I will right click it, and then I will still replace values. And suppose if I already know, so once I click A, replace values, it will take me to a new dialog box, and I will say value to field A replace with some value like suppose I know that it should be 5 million. Okay. So once I set replace, you can see that this variable, now in this variable we have all numeric variable, but this variable is still alphabet because, sorry, still string variable, because once we loaded the data in Power BI, at that time there was an alphabet here under this population variable, and then it got assigned string variable. Now it have all the numeric under it, so it will not change it automatically to numeric, so you have to change it. So I will click it and I will say consider this. So there are different types: decimal number, fixed decimal number, whole number. I think for me whole number for this will be fine. So once I change it, you can see that it turned into 1 to 3, and now when we will be constructing graphs or when we will be making tables, we can use this variable and we can apply arithmetic operations like mean, medians, and other operations which are available in Power BI. So now one thing that I have shown you guys, that how you can convert or replace the value in a cell to some other value. So this kind of functionality is more useful when you also have to clean your data. The other thing I would like to show is that here you can see that this date variable, which is having a calendar sign here, it means that this date variable is considered as a date variable, whereas here I have shown in the start of the video in Excel sheet that this variable, which is year, month and day, is not considered as a date because it's 1 to 3 written down here, and it's considered as numeric. Even the date variable is also a form of numeric, but here it's wrongly assigned as numeric. So it's very important that once you import the data into Power BI, make sure that your date format is in the right format, and if it's not, it's better to adjust it in the data set which you are importing into Power BI, and then also make sure after importing that the date variables are correctly identified in Power BI. Otherwise, if you will do some time series plots or analysis over that date variable, you may encounter errors. Even Power BI will not show errors in the graph, but the representation of the data in those graphs will not be right. So make sure, come into edit query and see that those variables are properly assigned as date, and you can double check it with your data too. So now the thing is, here there are two options: transform and add column. So what I will do, I will copy this date variable. I will say duplicate column. So now you can see I have the same variable like this, and now I will do some things. So if I select this date, the copy of my date variable, and if I go to add column, so you can play around with this date variable. So suppose if you are doing analysis and you want the month of that is identified in this date variable, and you want that month to be captured into a separate variable, you can do it very easily in Power BI. You will say month, and you will say, if I will say just month, it will just identify it's the 12th month, it will be the 1 month. If I do it like this, so you can say it's capturing the 12th month is the first month. But if I again select this variable, but suppose if I want the new variable to specify the first day of the month, you can, because sometimes we need our reports, in our reports we want some graph to be based on the first day of the month. So in order to do that, we will go back to our month, and it's the start of month. In the same way, you can play around with the end of the month, days in the month. So I think start of the month will be fine. So now I have created a new variable. So it's saying even it's the 31st 12, but the first of that month, if that date is the first, and here you can see it changing accordingly. Even here is the 3rd of the January 1994, but for it, it's identified as 1st January 1991. So you can play around with these functions according to your need. Another thing that I would like to show, which is very also useful, that sometimes age, so you can also identify the number of days till the date identified in this column. So if you select age, so it will be telling the number of days from today till that day. And in the same way, if I go to date again, we can also have a year. We can say start of the year, end of the year. We can say simply year. So it will tell me the number. So especially if you want to make a bar class based on the how much revenue you have made in a year, you may need this variable like year 1. But the point to note here is that you guys will be noticing that why I am so currently I'm in an add column. So what I am doing, I am selecting that variable, and then I am going within the add column, and I am going to this date. Whereas even if I go to my transform, there is an option available here, the date. If I select it, I can do almost the same thing from transform too. But the difference is once I will select this option here, it will change my existing selected variable to that change which I want. So suppose I have currently selected this date copy, and if I select go to month, and if I select month, this column itself will get changed. It will not add a column, whereas previously I was adding a column. Suppose now if I change it 12 month, so you can say that this existing variable got changed, and it now showing me the month which was there in that variable. So I personally like to use this date functionality by going to add column, because it will add a new column, and then I can even use the existing column, and you also can get used to the new columns that Power BI have added. So till now we have discussed numeric variables, date variables, string variables. So before going further, I will also like to show one more thing, is that if I again duplicate this column, another feature which is very good here related to the dates is, so I have added a duplicate column. So if I go again to my add column, I'm currently in my add columns. Even you can identify quarters, quarter of the year. So usually this option divides the data into 4 quarters. So it's a quarter of the year. So it will show I'm in the 4th quarter, this observation 4. So 4th quarter, 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter. Another thing that suppose what I will do is that I will go here home and I will apply changes. So all these changes, applied steps will be applied to my data. I will say close and apply, close and apply. So it's going to apply the changes to my data, and you can see on my right hand side that all the variables that I have created will be shown on my right hand side. as you can see now. But suppose if I save it now, suppose if I thought that okay, I will work on this Power BI data visual in later after hour or maybe after a few days. So I will save it here. It will save all the changes that I have applied. I will name it as data types. You can name it whatever you want. Save it. But suppose you have applied the changes, and within that time maybe you or maybe your colleague have made some changes. So suppose if this is the same data which I imported into Power BI. So suppose if your colleague or you accidentally added the same observation related to this state multiple times, even you can see that I have already have added this state 4 times. But suppose if I added more copy, I have suppose so this state is appearing about 8 times in my data, but this data should be unique at state level. So if I do that, so let's see if I update my data or I add something in my data, how my Power BI app will behave. So let's see. I will save it. So it's and I minimize it. So I've changed the data which was imported into this Power BI app, Power BI file. So if I open it now, so what I will do is that I will show you guys that how Power BI will behave now with my data. Close it first. Now I will reopen it. Again, it will take time while loading it, but this time what will happen is that now I have updated my data, my Power BI file will also get updated automatically. And then I will show you guys that how you can remove those duplicates from your data. Just loading all the steps. So you can see that once I open my file, all the things that I have done before is already here. I don't have to repeat those steps again. I have added variables like month, population. Now the population is numeric because I have applied the steps to make it numeric. But if I go to my edit query now, so whenever you have to manipulate your data or change the data, you must have to go into edit query option first. Then Power BI will allow you to change the data. Otherwise, you can't change it without going into edit query editor. So if I scroll down, you can see that I have this state. One state is appearing several times. So and this thing is happening because my data got updated, and once uploading the data and applying all those steps, my steps history is also captured, still there in Power BI. So now what I can do, I can only keep those observations which are unique. So I can delete these duplicates. So once you will say delete duplicates based on the state variable, Power BI will keep only the data for this state which is coming the first time. The data which is behind under if the state is stating twice, second or third time, it will be deleted. The first time it will appear, that row will only be kept. So in order to delete the duplicates, I will select that column. I will say right click is, and then I will say duplicate column. Sorry, not duplicate column. I will say drop duplicates. No, sorry. I will again select the column, right click it, and then I will say remove duplicates. Now once I remove the duplicates, If I scroll down now, it's showing the states are 50 and this state is appearing only once now. So everything looks fine. So the point to tell you guys that once you save your Power BI file and once you reopen it, it will keep the steps that you have applied before. It will also save those steps and it will also look for any a data update you have made during that time when you were not working on the Power BI file. So thank you for watching the video.